Hello and welcome to another episode of Humankind, the Poe Open Dev closed beta. As you can see, we have some troops on our borders. The Marians have sent troops all the way up to our city of Thebes, and I'm not too keen on that. I'm not super happy about how close they are. But we're still peaceful, we're still friendly, we're still trading, and so hopefully that is not going to amount to anything. Also, in the previous episode, I started the construction of a triumphal arch here. This is actually a pretty bad location for it, because it's right next to my lovely pyramid. So we're going to be deleting that, and we're going to move it to here instead. That seems like a much wiser area for it. I'm happier with it being over there. Alright, I'll bring you back when something interesting is, of course, going to happen. I'm going to be bringing this troop over into this area because I would like these horses, I would like this iron. And then, maybe we can make a push for Aza again at some point. It would be very nice to own this area, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Alright, we have another event a couple of turns later, the Flooded Lands. An unrelenting deluge of rainfall lashes down upon the great city of Thebes and the surrounding lands. The rains don't stop soon. The banks of the great river that threads through the city will burst, flooding the adjacent quarters. With limited time and resources, the choices are stark. What do? We have quite a lot of money, and I would like to protect this area. Having the chance of bad or terrible consequences does not really sound very good to me. And also, this is a more social axis progress, which is what we're aiming for. So it makes sense to go for it. Also, I've got my units up here into whatever this region is called. And I believe in this turn, we are able to create a new territory, claiming the horses and the iron for ourselves. Fawaris is claimed. That gives us a relatively decent area of the map under our control. There is just this annoying blot that we may want to worry about. But Thebes is looking good. Thebes is probably going to expand into taking both of these. Thebes, honestly, probably not the best place for me to put the city. Honestly, if I'd put it in Fawaris, I'd have maybe have been a bit happier. Even Aza would be a fantastic place for a city. Thebes, it was a compromise, definitely a compromise. But it is one that we have made, and we're going to have to stick with that choice. Another thing that we are noticing is that the barbarians in our north are currently being very rude, and they're burning down Piautus, whatever that's called. It's quite rude, and honestly there's not much I can see that I can do about it. I do not have any units in the region other than one scout, and unfortunately he would get absolutely rinsed by these guys by over 2-1. So you're gonna have to run away, honestly, and we're gonna start making some troops and potentially sending them north. Let's make our rally point over here, and maybe we may want to find out a way of putting some defenses in the north as well. Potentially Thebes could do something about it. 80 to attach there. We could make ourselves a rally point, a garrison up in the northern reaches. It's something that we do not have the influence to do right now. Oh, we can't do it while it's being ransacked is why. Well, that's unfortunate. We're definitely going to be having to take care of these barbarians. That is going to be our big next goal. So hopefully we can work on that. Another thing that we haven't gone too much into is trading. And maybe that it is time to do a bit of trading. We could trade with the Marians here and grab some gold or marble. But what I have noticed is that the Celts here have some trades of salt, which is plus 10 food and plus 6 stability on all cities. And that just sounds like a glorious idea. So I'm going to be doing some of that. It's going to cost me either 113 or... Nope, 113 it is. I think that's totally worth it. Let's start trading. The Sage as well is plus 3 stability on all cities. I'm not too pushed about that one. I might actually grab your second unit of salt. Yeah, I think that is definitely worth it. So we've got some trading going on with the Marians now, which hopefully will give us some increased relations and closer bonds as we move forward into the game. So we have the ability to claim a wonder. We have earned enough influence such that we have a few that are available. Let's just move some of these things out of the way. Some people advancing, all that good stuff. So we have the ability to get either the Lighthouse of Alexandria, giving me stability, vision height, and vision range. And on naval units, all of my naval units will be more combat strength and have more movement speed. That is something that would scale very well towards the end of the game as well, as naval combat becomes a bit more relevant. We've got the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, more science per district on city or outpost. That is not a bad idea as well. That is a very nice one. The Statue of Zeus here, giving us faith and a ton of stability, more money per alliance, and more stability on all of our cities and outposts. We have the Hanged Gardens of Babylon, giving more stability and faith, and all extracts that this wonder is built upon are automatically extracted, so we could put it on top of this iron and immediately grab the iron. Or we can get the Pyramid of Giza, which is more stability and all district industry costs are reduced by 25%. I'm going to be claiming the pyramid because, one, we're Egyptian, and two, that is insanely powerful. 25% reduction in cost on all districts is... I mean, you can't be snuffing that out. That's very, very nice indeed. So we're going to claim the Pyramid of Giza. It cost me 250 influence to claim, and that is good for me. Unfortunately, another thing that happened in this turn was that my outpost here in the north was completely destroyed. It is gone and done for, which is very, very unfortunate. Which means Fawaris is actually cut off from my own empire. There is no link between the two. I'm not sure how that affects things. I don't know if it really does. But yeah, I will definitely be wanting to claim this back. But I am going to need to bring an army up north. Thankfully, we did just research bronze working, so we can now get ourselves some copper mines, which is something I'll be doing very shortly if I have copper. I have some here, so what you could do, if I had 36 influence, is build a copper mine here, then start building some spearmen, which are going to be very useful against the barbarians in the north, because they tend to prefer some chariots. So that's going to be the plan there. But I do need to wait at least one turn before I can grab that. So yeah, good stuff. The army is relatively complete. We have a horseman, a spearman, a warrior, and an archer. And we are going to start sending these guys north to deal with this barbarian threat, which is much plaguing me. Very much plaguing me. So yeah, let's start moving. It's going to take them a few turns to arrive. But when they do, oh boy, it's going to be great. We have Fawaris relatively safe. Well, I would say relatively safe, but there's actually no indication that it is even remotely safe. I'm going to move my scout unit up a bit because I would like to get into a position where I can reclaim this. It's going to cost me 80, which we're going to have next turn. Hopefully next turn we'll be able to start that and not lose it immediately. That would be quite nice. Memphis is currently building a Maker's Quarter. I did buy out these two units, and I think after it's made its Maker's Quarter, the pyramid will start to be built. Where I'm going to build this, I am unsure. It has to be built on a river. I'm thinking down the south might actually be a good idea, because it does look like there's a bit of a desert thing going on over here. Maybe we could build it on this little crossroads of river to increase the rate at which we can travel. We've got bridges here. We actually don't have a bridge there, unfortunately, because this is not a part of Memphis. I can't build it over here. It would be nice if we could sort that, but we're not going to be able to do that in this turn. It doesn't need to be built yet, though. It doesn't need to be built yet. We can wait. Unfortunately, as we arrive in the ruins of what once was ours, we see that the barbarians have actually got units here. And I can't move away, so I am afraid you may be dead, and my armies are not yet in a position to aid them. This is not good. This is very much not good. Memphis has finished its Maker's Quarter. It will now only take 14 turns to build the Pyramid of Giza. I think that would probably be a good idea. More vision might be useful, but I think what we're going to be doing is the forge. +5 industry per copper, and we do certainly have copper. And 1 industry on Maker's Quarters per adjacent Maker's Quarter is also very nice. That is going to take me 3 turns, and that is going to increase my production quite significantly. Alright, the troops have arrived in the region, and we have the ability to move potentially into a combat this turn. So if I just move one, we see them, and we see the enemy. We see the enemy, and now it is time to strike. If I move to here and then attack, we're going to have a worse battle than if I moved there and attacked. Hopefully they do not run away. It looks like they're not going to. Fantastic. So, I would definitely want my spearmen to take the front if they've got that there. Our horses, ideally, will go and attack downhill. Maybe we'll do something like that. Okay, okay. So definitely step one is going to be to engage the chariot with our spearmen going downhill. Fantastic initial combat. And we go here as well. If we shoot at their archers, more than likely my scout riders should be able to wipe them out. That will be the hope. We're not able to, unfortunately, but we'll be doing a good bit of damage to them. Alright. A very good opening round, I would say. Let us see how the enemy responds. They respond by bringing extra troops in. Is that the case? Yes, it is. I did not realize we were going to be fighting a 2v1 here. Unfortunately, it looks like chariots are very much better than scout riders. Alright. Well, we could finish off the chariot. No, we can't. That's unfortunate. Warriors definitely versus archers will be the better fight there. Spearmen versus archers. I think you've already made your move. I think either way my cavalry is dead, but let's attack these archers. We're alive, but on very, very low health. Interestingly, the cavalry did die. Well, that's unfortunate. Right, archers. Cannot finish you off. We can finish off those. I think either way my archers are probably dead. I'm going to try shooting you. Unfortunately, didn't manage to get you fully wiped out. The warrior's going to finish off these archers. And the spearman versus the chariot. Depending on what you shoot at, I may lose some archers, or I may be able to wipe you out without any more losses. And unfortunately, he did shoot at my archers. This was way more painful than it had any right to be. I think now it may be time for you to make a move back towards what is this area. And also we've unlocked knowledge authorities, which is either science per researcher or science per number of trade routes. Both of them are really good, neither of them I can afford, so I'm going to ignore it. And yeah, we'll get into the next turn and back into this battle. Alright, finish off the battle. Was not difficult, although I did choose 2 extra warriors there. They did do some damage to me. But the battle is over. And unfortunately, it looks like there is a second battle potentially brewing. Which it doesn't look like it actually win, which is unfortunate. Memphis, please replace my losses. I think 2 units of archers might be a good idea. And as tempting as it is to buy them out, they can't move this turn anyway if I buy them out, and they're going to be done in 1 turn anyway. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. And looking at that forge, we went from 90 to 123 industry. That forge was absolutely the right thing to purchase. That was a fantastic choice. By me, naturally. Right, let's see if I can hover my way in here. And we do indeed see the ruins of our once amazing city. Which I'm going to immediately resettle. Piatos is now ours once more. Alright, lovely stuff. Oh my! During the end turn, Phaistos has just spawned 2 extra armies. That is incredibly scary. Not a big fan of this. Fun stuff. We're gonna have to work on that. 2 archers created. Let's immediately start moving them northwards. And Memphis is going to choose some ferrets because they have a social axis towards progress, and I like ferrets. As the harvest season draws close, the common folk are worried. With many farms scattered across the empire, last year an infestation of rodents, largely rats and mice, plundered granaries. However, rumors have it that one enterprising village mitigated the problem by using cats. But you also know that sailors use a new kind of predator named a ferret. Which of them will you employ officially? Ferrets, for sure, are cool. I like ferrets. Memphis, meanwhile, is going to start work on the pyramids, and I'm going to build it where I said I was going to before. Right here, as we do indeed have linked up with Nash. And so, yeah, building it across this river seems like a decent idea. It will allow me to have an easier crossing time. We've got a bridge here, but none there. But now, if I'm going down this way, that will also have an easy crossing. So that is some good stuff. Archer's going to move. We could take this battle. We're at 36 out of 36. Maybe I'll take 1 extra turn of reinforcement. They've got 1 archer. What I could do is actually pop my veteran scout unit into this army. And then we fight them. Yeah, I think that'll be actually a relatively decent idea. And the deployment. So they've chosen to put their archers up on the hill. And their spearmen down. In that case, I think maybe the spearmen can go and attack the archers.
Over this way.
Oh, maybe that was a bad move. We could allow them to attack us, getting a little bit of extra defensiveness. Who are you going to attack? They're not going to attack. Okay.
Now. Follow me.
That looks painful. It was painful. You're definitely going to be backing up now.
Let's go.
What I could do is have the warriors finish those guys off. So I've got the strongest unit possible to attack their spearmen. Alright. That'll continue in the next turn. Alright, back into the battle we go. And let us try and finish off these spearmen. Hope we don't wipe each other out. Oh, we did. That is unfortunate. Well, we got a militarist start out of that, but now my army is very much weakened, and we're going to need to have them heal up quite significantly. Ouch. That is a rough time. So, we had just got a new civic unlock, which was right here, the leadership one, and we went with small council. Both gave a +1 city cap, but one moved us further towards authority, and one pushed us back into the center. Authority is okay. Having more turns before you're converted by other people's influence on you is nice, but I wanted that central stability, which is very nice indeed. It cost me 80 influence. I think it was certainly worth it, and yeah, looking at our influence right now, it is pretty heavy over the entirety of the map. I'm quite happy with it. Religiously as well, we're looking okay. There's a bit of a pushback by, I believe, the Harappan's polytheism, but other than that, we're doing pretty well when it comes to religion. Alright, we have researched writing, and I believe we are unfortunately not the first to do it. If you are the first to research writing, you actually get a competitive deed. And unfortunately, we did not get that first. So, where is that? Discovering writing. Unfortunately, the Celts got there first. I'm not sure when that happened. It would have popped up in the bottom right, but unfortunately we're just a little bit too slow. Meanwhile, my troops are arriving together, and we'll get them all sorted, ready to make another big push at the barbarians. A full army, 2 spearmen, 2 archers. I actually have 1 slot for another unit. We could perhaps get thieves to supply said unit. And I'm thinking maybe a cavalryman would be a good idea. 250? Yeah, let's get that sorted. Next turn, he's going to march up north. Also, new stuff to do, new research. So let us go for masonry. And yeah, next turn, we're going to make a push against the barbarians. Alright, let us move in. They have the high ground, but we have archers. And we can probably move back to this high ground. So, they also don't have any space to move. They can move to here and then get a second unit in. But if I block them from moving, we're just going to be fighting 1 unit. I am going to let it go for now. Of course, we'll open up with an archer volley. 2 relatively weak attacks. Follow up with a spearman attack. And then follow up with a second spearman attack. The fact that they are on a river is really good for me. So he's moved out. He's gotten a second unit. Or did he get a second unit? He did not. Well, let's shoot him again. We've taken his flag. We've murdered his face. And we have won the battle. Unfortunately, it does mean he has got a second unit. But I believe we can just straight up attack him again. Which seems like the most wise decision I could possibly make at this point. I wonder if you are there, you'll still be able to shoot him and he won't be able to get to you. He will be able to get to him, though. Either way, more shooting. Full send it. Unfortunately, we have more enemies joining the fight, including a chariot, which is absolutely ruinous for archer units. So that's not great. Having reinforcements come in like that is never good. We could very much wipe out... Oh man, if I think I might end up losing my archers here. I feel like we can certainly win the battle, but I'm going to lose archers. Let's wipe out those spearmen. Let's shoot at the chariot and then get everyone to attack the chariot. So the chariot is no longer going to be a thing. They do have 1 unit of archers, which is dangerous and scary and may potentially wipe out one of my units, but they're stupidly going into the low ground. So they're not going to wipe me out. The AI was thankfully stupid right there. We're going to shoot him with both of our units. And then attack him with our spearmen. A glorious victory for the forces of the Romans. Dealing with barbarians to the north. It's all in the day's work for a Roman soldier, isn't it not? Let's move our cavalry up north. And you, sir, are going to heal for just a little while, so that I can be at full strength before we launch our attack upon the Gallic stronghold of Phaistus. I'll see you when that happens. My units are practically at full strength now. There's only a tiny bit missing on one of my archers, but it is time to make our assault. So let us move in. With any luck, we'll be able to defeat these vile barbarian hordes without too much difficulty. They have 3 units of levies. If we were to hold the siege for quite some time, these would die over time. Or we could, alternatively, make an assault upon the city. And I think that is what we're going to be doing. All they have is some fences. It's nothing too much to worry about. Let's make an assault. A manual battle. So, they could defend from 2 sides. I don't think they've got enough troops to stop me, if I'm being perfectly honest here. So let's end the deployment, and we'll see what they have done. Alright, it looks like they've taken what high ground they can. This is actually a not too bad defensible location. They've got the high ground. If we try and get into the city, we're going to be on a river. It's a pretty well defended area. Alternatively, we could move into the city here. Oh, we can't actually. There's a cliff there. Okay. Well, I think for starters, we're going to move to there. You're going to start making your way around the city. You're going to take position upon the hill. And we're going to make some shots. Launching projectiles into the city. We actually have the hill advantage here as well. If you could make a shot, that would be great. Now, a cavalry cannot charge into here because... Is that because of cliff or because you're just cavalry? I think it's because there is a cliff. However, there's no such cliff here. So we will charge headstrong with our spearmen. And considering they are just levies, they're holding out particularly well against professional soldiers, which is quite unfortunate. Well, we'll end the round. My cavalry can't actually do anything. It was not a cliff. It is merely because it is a strong, defensible location that we struggled there. They attacked me, coming out and sortying from the walls, but doing very little damage to me and a lot of damage to themselves. What we're going to do with our professional soldiers is move up onto the hill, and then we're going to attack down the hill at these soldiers in the city, doing massive amounts of damage. We could have you finish them off, or we could shoot it here. I'm going to shoot there. That means an attack by either of these guys is probably going to end in failure. Alternatively, we could shoot here. And we'll move into the city proper. The next turn, we should be able to attack you in the rear. Okie dokie. I'm happy with that. End the round. So, run away a little bit to attack me and then die. And they're going to do the same thing again. Ooh, 2 levels of veterancy. I very much do not want to lose this unit. Which is perfectly fine, because I did not. I earned a militarist star and an expansionist star, and we have taken Phaistos for ourselves. A glorious new city for Rome. We also have a cultural blessing, which is making more turns before you're converted or getting more influence on the main plaza. I think I'm going to go with more influence on the main plaza. I think this is worth it. It will pay for itself in 20 turns. We're going to be playing for more than 20 turns, so that seems perfectly reasonable to me. It's actually going to pay for itself in less turns because I have 3 main plazas. Thebes, Memphis, and now Phaistos. So I'm quite happy with that. What we're going to do, though, is rename Thebes. Because while we were Egyptian when we founded this city, I want a city to represent the culture that I am now. So Thebes is actually going to be renamed to Rome. And then depending on what our next city is, our next location, our next culture, Phaistos will probably be renamed to suit that as well. So, it has no completed infrastructure right now. It's making relatively weak industry. The population is non-existent. So we're going to need to work on the city just a little bit. It looks like they've expanded, but I don't know with what. What is this? What have they built here? It says there's nothing been constructed, but I don't know if that's true or not. I think what we're starting with is the forge and also some stoneworks, and we'll be happy with that for now. We have been the first of the many civilizations here to build a wonder, and of course, what a lovely wonder it is. The pyramids of Giza are complete. A fantastic monument to our splendor. Very much a glorious sight as one travels between Lidaboria and Memphis. Fantastic stuff. And also within sight range of what is a really rather scary looking Nubian, I think they're actually Mauryan now, army. And I'm not particularly happy with these.
Let's talk.
She is trying to trade luxuries with me. We have a non-aggression pact. And yet, she's trespassing quite heavily within my nation. I'm going to demand that she pays reparations for this grievance.
I demand either recompense or your destruction.
And she is saying... I have no idea, but I believe I have more money now than I had before, so perhaps she actually acquiesced to that demand. Let us demand that she acquiesce to the second of these demands. You are again trespassing in my land. I have 1,200-ish ducats.
You can buy my forgiveness with gifts or with blood.
She's actually not said anything. The demands that remain there. Well, we will see what happens. I am going to be starting to bring my army down south as swiftly as I possibly can. And I'm also creating new units in Memphis, ready to be positioned in this garrison area right here. Another 3 units of spearmen and an archer ready to reinforce the army in the south. We could actually call this the Southern Regiment. Sure, why not? And this one in the north can be the Heroes of Phaistos, because they are the ones that liberated Phaistos from the barbarians. This unit of scouts, meanwhile, is going to travel north and do a little bit of exploration, as I need to discover what lies beyond my borders. And we see instead there is a farming situation up in the north, which leads me to believe there are more barbarians, which is quite worrying. Rome, meanwhile, with its quite heavy population of 8 souls, I don't know what we're going to call them, needs to find something to build, and I think what we're going to go with is a garrison. And I want to station a garrison up in the north, just in case we have a further incursion of barbarians. It's also going to increase the stability somewhat, which will be nice as well. A triumphal arc would also be a relatively good idea, even more stability, and it's our culture unit, which is, you know, it's delightful. We like these things. Infrastructure-wise, more forges. I like my forges, stoneworks, and I think we will leave it at that. He's got a fairly decent-sized list of things to build, so we'll leave him at it. Our scouts have indeed found a bustling hub of civilization and life, but as we hover over it, we can see that lightning bolt symbolizes that these barbarians are aggressive. We're going to have to back out of there. This garrison is going to have to be manned, and we're going to need to place units and troops within it to defend against a more than likely going to happen future incursion. This is not great news, but it's something we're going to have to work on. Meanwhile, the marching goes on. They are still trespassing within my borders. I am very much not a fan of this situation. Archers and spearmen, we need to deal with this threat. And that is why we're building more units. We are not the only ones gearing up for war, as the English have declared war upon the Greeks. The English being a medieval era civilization, and the Greeks, of course, being classical era. Which is interesting that someone has gone to the medieval, because we also can. We have finished our final star in the classical era, and we can choose where we go next, and I'm unsure yet of what I wish to go with. The Mongols, of course, being a very, very strong, aggressive, cavalry-based army. We could go with the Umayyads for more science. We could, unfortunately, not go with the English, as that has been taken. These longbowmen are absolutely delightful. I do love them. +3 industry on farmers' quarters as well is very, very strong. It is very strong indeed. The Byzantines, more money per alliance. We get some Varangian Guard. We get the Franks with their food on city or outpost. There are a lot of options here, but this food on city or outpost is certainly something that is tempting me quite heavily. So I'm going to adopt it. We're going to become Frankish. Yeah, I look absolutely delightful. So with that, let us confirm our choice. We could take some Franki Militae, some heavy Frankish cavalry requiring iron and horses in multiple amounts. The Scriptorium, which is a lovely religious building, giving also some science and influence per adjacent district, and some faith, and Crown Lands. More food on cities and outposts. Absolutely delightful. It should end up with a heavy boom to our agriculture and our population. I love it. It is decided. It is done. So, with that out of the way, let us continue moving our troops south. I believe there is going to be a war very, very soon. So, did I perhaps create too many infantry? This spearman, perhaps we'll get you to spawn here. Why can't I get you to spawn here? I don't want you to spawn here anymore. I think, you're going to spawn here because there is no option for you to spawn here. That's fine. We could create one more Triumphal Arch, because as soon as we go to the next era, we're actually going to lose the ability to do so. Losing a little bit. Yeah, let's build one there. And I think I'm going to be happy with that. The invention of the calendar heralded a glorious day in the Empire's history. Now with 2 major cities and numerous farming affairs needing to be harmonized across the land, it's time to standardize the calendar. Traders must have an easy means to synchronize their activities, by which means we need to track the days. So the solar calendar or the lunar calendar. Solar being more progress-based, and lunar being more traditional-based. I'm not sure which one I want to go with. Let me have a look at this, right? If I go into the final area of progress, we get even more science, but we're missing out on 10 stability on all cities. I personally want to go back towards the center, because I am a filthy centrist. So we're going to go with a lunar calendar, and just keep ourselves closer to the center for just a little bit longer. Alright, my armies in the north, my scouts are going to be running away. And I do indeed see scary happenings on the horizon. I think it is certainly time to work on getting some troops in the north, including the spearmen, and perhaps Rome could also work on getting some troops up here. Including, but not limited to, 2 units of spearmen and 2 units of archers. And I think that's good. Alright, let's end the turn.
Wisdom and technical innovation from earlier eras bring humankind new knowledge, and we immediately use it to find new ways to kill each other off. Greater empires build more powerful armies, but brute strength may be defeated by superior innovations. It is brains versus brawn, with ever richer cities as tempting spoils for the victor.
And we are Frankish in the medieval era. Very nice indeed. Our new roofs are basically they're just teal. Copper roofs that have gone a little bit oxidized, perhaps? Who knows? But it looks very delightful indeed. You are still working on your Triumphal Arch, which is nice because we can no longer build these. Instead, we have the Scriptorium, which is also a very nice looking building. But with that, I'm going to end this episode here, so I want to thank you all very much for watching. We have been Roman, and now we are Frankish, and in the next episode we'll see how we deal both with our threats on the south, and also more barbarians in the north. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.